Well, welcome everybody. We're excited to get started with you. We just want to welcome you in and thank you for spending your evening with us. This is our first time to do this together. I'm Deetra Clark. I'm a therapist by trade and a regenerative detoxification practitioner and a mom of 4 and a wife to Bryan. You want to introduce
Is that
yourself?
my cue?
That's your cue.
Sure. My name is Bryan Clark. Me and Deetra have been knowing each other and I guess in a relationship 22 years.
Gosh,
Wow, that's hard to say.
aging us.
Yeah. We've been married for 15 of those years and we have 4 kids, ages 18, 14, 8, and 5. Always have to pause and think because of so many kids. But we spent most of our life in Arkansas and relocated to Minnesota back in 2018. So we're happily enjoying life here in Minnesota. And contrary to popular belief, it's not cold here all the time. It's actually pretty nice this week. So come visit us.
That's actually not true. It was cold today, and we have a difference of opinion on that, but that's neither here nor there. We wanted to do this call because I really have a passion for health and wellness. And one of the things that I do every day is I lead calls like this. And this is my first time to bring Bryan into it. But the team and I thought that it would be valuable to do a call with couples because health should really be a family affair. And I've been really fortunate over the years to have a spouse that supports my health journey, that allows me to make twists and turns into what we eat and the things that we do as I find what works better for us. And so I get a lot of questions from wives and from husbands because really statistics show that either one partner is on a health journey and the other is not. And so that can create like distress in the home and it can just make it difficult, right? And so the common questions I get are for spouses asking questions for their spouses or parents asking questions about their kids. And so we thought that we would just do this joint call to share what has worked for us. Not to say that we do everything perfectly, but as you learn more and when you know better, you can do better, and then you can share that information. And so I want to start with my health story, and then I'll let Bryan share his. So my health story really started really when we first got married is when I started to notice I didn't feel good in my body. I was irritated a lot. I had gained a lot of weight. I lacked having any kind of libido or sex drive. I needed a nap every day. And I was practicing, that was the beginning of my therapy practice. And so in between clients, sometimes I just, like after about 4 or 5 clients, I would go to my car, take a little cat nap. I'd go back in, I'd finish my day, I'd come home, and I would be done for the day. And that really created a lot of stress for us because I just didn't have the energy really to show up for Bryan. And then, so I felt bad. I was tired, but those things really back then, they're kind of what was seen as normal. Most wives that I worked with, other therapists, had the same kind of complaints. They were just done after their day with their clients, and that was okay because we had worked hard. But yeah, we had 2 kids. They were younger, and I started to work out because, our society talks a lot about exercise. And so I thought if I started to move more, that I would feel better. And I did. I got super physically active. I started to build muscle. I started to lose weight. But my focus became a lot on macronutrition and really focusing on my caloric intake and more about the the outside exterior, and I didn't really understand a lot about the internal terrain. And Bryan had started to work out with me as well. So he was losing weight, and it was something that we were kind of doing together, but there was still this missing link. There was still something where I just didn't feel quite at home in my body. And so I started to talk to different dietitians. I talked to my trainer about ways that I could change my diet. So the first thing that I did was I eliminated sugar. And then we went completely organic, probably like 10, 11 years ago, but still something was missing. And so then I started to supplement, and because that's kind of what we're told, right? If you have a nutrient that you're missing in your body, you supplement that. And so what I didn't know then was the difference between whole food source supplementation and isolated supplementation. So I took a lot of supplements, things that were marketed as natural, things that were, focused on gut health, the expensive ones, the popular name ones. So I was doing a lot of this, trying to fill in gaps in what I could feel in my body was missing, but not really honestly noticing a difference, kind of like a placebo. And then I went keto. So I really started to focus a lot on heavy meat and lots of veggies and heavy fat, because I thought hormonally that would help me, because that's what the research was showing. And as a therapist, we talk a lot about behavioral changes. We talk a lot about the environment, but we don't get a lot of training on nutrition. So I just was kind of going with what the popular trends were. And so 5 years of supplementing and eating a ketogenic lifestyle is when I was introduced to Purium. And Purium has been everything that I never knew that I needed. It stands for Pure and Premium, and it's a company that I had never heard of. And the way that I was introduced to it was a friend here in Minnesota who was struggling in her health. She had chronic autoimmune and unexplained infertility, and she was struggling with weight issues and quite miserable, actually. And I saw her one day sharing on her social media account, and she was noticeably different. Like I had just seen her 2 weeks prior, and she was different. She was smiling and laughing, and I was just captivated by the marked difference that I saw in her. And she was talking about organic, regeneratively grown superfoods, vine ripened. She was using a lot of terminology that I had not heard with other supplements that I had taken. And that really intrigued me, because I knew it was something different than what I was doing. And so I reached out to her and I said, I don't completely understand everything that you're talking about, but I know it's different than what I'm doing. And I want to know more. I want to know more about what you're doing, because I feel like that's my next step. I feel like I am missing something in my health, despite eating organically and working out and doing all the things. I'm getting my water in. I'm doing all the things that we say are right to do to really take care of your body, but I was still missing something. And so she shared with me this organic superfood nutrition that we're going to talk to you about, and how we have added it in to our marriage and to our home with our kids. But it has just really been everything that I never knew that I needed, and has been transformative for my health and for Bryan's health, for our kids, and also for just building a successful business and sharing this with other people. And I'm excited. I'll have a few health testimonies throughout the call, but I know it's working here. We're seeing it not only in Minnesota, but down in the South and in many other areas. So we're excited to share more with you. Bryan, you want to share?
So this
This is your turn. You get to shine. Yes.
You want to check the chat real quick?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Great. Make sure. Thank you. I'll see if I can stick to the script here and stay within my time limit, so I don't get in trouble when we get off the call. So I don't know how far back I should go. I'll start, I guess, from when me and Dietrich got married, because I think a lot of people fall into this trap of, you you're young, you're married, you're starting out in your career, you got a job, you got some young kids. Your health is probably not the top priority. I mean, you're just trying to take care of your household. So for me, I guess I'll take a step further back and go to the glory days of high school football. I always felt like I knew how to work out because that's kind of what I did all through junior high school. Like a lot of people, was an athlete in high school, didn't quite make it to the college level, but I knew how to work out and lift weights. But I didn't really do that, once I got into the family lifestyle. I knew I needed to start doing it. So I tried to make some changes, started running more. It just really was unhappy with how I looked. Started looking at some pictures, and we were young. We were like, 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there. And it was just really unacceptable. So I made some lifestyle changes, and Deetra helped me with that. Started simple, cutting out a lot of sugar, stopped drinking things like milk. I wouldn't say all the dairy, but I did eliminate quite a bit of dairy out of my diet. And I saw changes that I liked. Then started working out more with my brother-in-law, Patrick Jamerson, who I'm sure a lot of people on this call know him very well. So shout out to Dr. Fit. He changed my life as well, in terms of how to work out. I really didn't know a lot about that high intensity training. So he taught me so much. And I still use a lot of that today in my workouts, as well as paying attention to labels, which is something I had never done, looking at the sugar content on, these bars and these things that I'm eating. What are the ingredients? So that was, a way that I was becoming more educated around what I was putting in my body. So this was, around the 2012, 2013 timeframe. Once again, I feel good. To me, I'm doing the right thing, taking the sweet stuff in moderation, but I still felt like there was more that I could be doing. I didn't know what that was. So fast forward, 8 or 9 years, we moved to Minnesota in 2018, and made even bigger changes. Deetra started getting me onto the supplement thing, and I implemented that into my diet. And what really changed for me was probably in 2020 when COVID hit, and to see all the sickness. And it hurt me. It made me sad. I saw a lot of family members getting sick, and I just thought to myself, like, I feel like there's more I could be doing, because I want to be here for my family as long as I can. And just because things look good on the outside, it doesn't necessarily mean things are good on the inside. And I think that's where we get it wrong a lot of times. And like, oh, he's in shape. That guy's healthy, but what is he eating? What's going on the inside. And it takes years for those things, decades for things to show up like that on the inside. That's why it's so important that we monitor what we're putting into our bodies. It's like we monitor things that we put on the inside of, the equipment that we use. We want the right fuel for our car, right? It's just the same thing with our body. So I made a pretty big decision towards the end of 2021. And it was a slow process, and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, because I know some people get, oh, what you did, what? So I slowly eliminated meat from my diet. And this was hard, I'll be honest, because I had always been taught that's what I need. Like, how can you have muscles? How can you be big and strong? How can you have energy if you're not eating meat? But I wanted to see for myself, what it was like. I think it's good to listen to people, and and people that you trust, for sure. But I also think it's good for you to read about things and try it out for yourself. And I would go a day here and there without any meat, just to kind of see how it felt. And I quickly realized that I didn't miss it as much as I thought I would. So then the beginning of this year, 2022, I felt spirit led, like in January, I normally participate in a fast, and my fast was from meat. So pretty much the month of January, I didn't eat any meat. And let me be crystal clear about this. I'm not saying that I will never eat meat again. But right now, I'm not eating meat. And, if I want to, I would, but surprisingly, I've not had a desire, when it comes to like a big burger or a chicken patty, something like that. I don't really have that desire. But something that helped me with that is the superfoods. So implementing that into my diet, as well as a ton of fruits and vegetables. That's what's been able to help me sustain this diet. I think you have to be very smart and calculated when you make that change, because your body's so used to that type of diet. And you want to be smart about it. You don't want to put your body in the shot. And, the superfoods, everything that Dietra has helped me with around Purium has helped me be successful with this. And, once again, I'm not saying that I'll never eat meat again. This is forever, but it's been working for me for about 10 months now. And I feel better. I have a lot of energy. And, I give credit to a lot of the superfoods that Dietra's helping me with through Purium.
Thank you, dear. Okay, so that's a little bit about us. And I want to get into some statistics, but before I do, I want to say for those that are new to our community, this is not a no meat, no dairy call. That is not the agenda for this call. The agenda for the call is that we wanted to take you through kind of how we got to the place of realizing that we were nutrient deficient, that things that we were experiencing in our bodies that we really accepted as like common and normal, they're not. They're things that we knew people were experiencing too. So we thought, oh, this is just kind of like the aging process, or this is just kind of what the body does. But what we have found is when you give your body the right environment, that your body really can thrive, and it really can regenerate, and it really can be in like an optimal state of functioning regardless of your age. And so I really wanted to share that because this is often seen as something that women focus on, right? Women are primarily who we have on our calls. I have a lot of wives, a lot of moms, and a lot of like women athletes. But usually those women athletes, they have partners, they have spouses. And why would we not share this information? Because one of the blessings for me is that poor Bryan, he hears me talk about this stuff all day. And so he's getting this information in. But I think when people really can get in front of it, they can be empowered. So I want to share some statistics with you guys. Okay, so some statistics. Autoimmune is one of the main statistics that I want to share, because pretty much everything that we hear about, like if I ask you right now to raise your hand if you knew somebody with diabetes, if you knew somebody that struggled with Crohn's or IBS or skin issues, you would probably be able to raise your hand, because autoimmune has increased and it currently affects 15 to 30 million people. And it's rising between 4 and 7% every year. So my friend Jen that I referenced when I first found out about Purium, when I first found out about regenerative health, she was struggling with autoimmune and unexplained infertility and had been to all the doctors, had done all the things, and was not feeling any better after years and years of treatment. And 80% of all Americans report some type of dis-ease in the body. And disease is not caught. It is something that we create with the foods that we take in, the chemical pesticides that we're inundated with every day, the chemical pesticides that are in our water, in our air systems. And because of that, our internal terrain, the inside of our body, it gets inflamed, and that creates an environment for dis-ease to come in. And so I like to tear that myth down, because the way that we talk about illness and disease and sickness in our country is almost like we're victims. It's like we're helpless, like we're in this position that we can't do anything about it. But that's actually really not true. And if we think back, so I was born in 1980. And the rates of dis-ease that have come since my birth date have skyrocketed. They're like staggering. And there's so much that we really don't even have the infrastructure to keep up with the level of dis-ease that we're seeing. So here's some common statistics. 40% of all children, so 80% of Americans report dis-ease, and of those 80%, 40% of those are children. The most common childhood diseases are autism. So in 1980, I was born in 1981, but in 1980, 1 in 6,000 children was diagnosed with autism, and now it's 1 in 36. So, I mean, that's like in 40 short years, that's like a super high increase. ADHD is a common childhood disease, autism, juvenile diabetes, cancer, leukemia. And in juvenile diabetes, I mean, this is like, I just had a baby, now the baby's 1, and I went to the doctor and the baby has diabetes. How does that happen? How does that even happen, right? And part of that is because of soil health, it's because of chemical pesticides, and it's because of diet. We pass on our health, the mother, to the baby. And because as moms, we are inundated with chemical pesticides, we are taking in foods that lack nourishment, we pass that on, and it creates genetic weaknesses in the baby. But another myth that we're impacted by disease in your family, that you are likely to catch that.
Have a trash bag.
Say that, oops, sorry, if everybody could mute, please. Got it. We say that genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. So what that means is, in your lineage, if you have a family member that has been diagnosed with high blood pressure, if you have a family member that had diabetes, just like any other predisposed condition, if you choose differently how you live your lifestyle, you don't have to be impacted by that. We all get a chance to make our decisions about our health, right? And it's up to us. That's why this information is so important. And so I want to talk a little bit about glyphosate. I've mentioned it a few times, and I actually had never heard it before I joined this regenerative health community. Had no idea what it was, and I should have, because actually I'm from Arkansas originally, and Arkansas is a part of something we call Cancer Alley. So Cancer Alley actually starts here in Minnesota, and it goes down along the Mississippi. And so because the rates of glyphosate exposure in the Mississippi River are higher, that runs off to the crops. And so people that live along the Mississippi River have a higher rate of cancer. And cancer now, the rate for that is 1 in 2. 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer because of glyphosate. So what it is it's a neurotoxin. It is a carcinogen, and it's patented as an oral antibiotic. And antibiotic, that means against life. So in the US, we spray 4.5 million pounds a year. And globally, there is 5.6 billion pounds sprayed. But the US deemed it as safe, but it's not, because what it does is it tears holes in your gut. And your gut is like the hub of your health. It controls everything. Your immune function comes from your gut, your mental health. So your serotonin, your dopamine, your melatonin, all of those things are housed in your gut. But glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, when we consume that, and we do because it's in our water, it's sprayed on our crops, so it's in our air. You can get it from touching a doorknob. It tears holes in our tight junction, and that creates something called leaky gut. And your gut lining is as thin as one single strand of hair. I mean, it's super strong, but chemical exposure over time tears holes in it. And then the receptors to the other parts of your body don't communicate appropriately. And so that is where we're seeing a lot of this disease. And so I had no idea when I heard about it. I didn't even know how to pronounce it because it's not something we talk about. It's always, they're always changing the name. You know, it's the main ingredient in Roundup, but now it's also called something else. Dogs, you know, we see pets that are dying at a younger rate because our pets play in the grass, right? We don't have pets, but those of you pet lovers on the call, your pets play in the grass, right? They're exposed to that. Our children, they play at parks. It is everywhere. And we, as the consumer, have a responsibility to be aware of this information, and not only for ourselves, but to educate our spouses, to make sure that our children know, to make sure that the schools know, so that we can be proactive in what we do about it. And so I've heard a lot, well, I ate this way when I was a child, or I did this when I was a child and I'm fine. But are we really fine when the rates of disease are so high? When every single one of us, I think there are like 25, 26 couples on this call, and every single one of us knows somebody personally, I guarantee it, that is struggling with some type of disease. Is that fine? And I would say no. And so asthma, for example, is the leading cause of children missing school and hospitalizations. And it's related to our diet, and it's related to glyphosate exposure. It's related to the environment. 1 in 4 kids have allergies. How many people do you know that have celiac? How many kids do you know that they're on Claritin or Zyrtec because as the seasons change, their eyes are watering, their nose are watering? That's not allergies, that's gut damage. It is related to the chemicals that we're taking in. And so I think it's important that we understand that the state of our soil, what we breathe in and what we take in every day, that is directly correlated to our health as humans. Soil health equals human health. And if you want to know more about what I'm talking about with glyphosate and how our foods have changed and the state of our soil health, the crops that we're consuming, a really good documentary that I watched when I first started was Kiss the Ground. And Dr. Zach Bush is a great expert on this topic, but Kiss the Ground is so enlightening because it talks about how 100 years ago, our food was all organic. It was exactly the way that God designed it. We could pick it from a tree and eat it. And then we started spraying this chemical on our crops. We started doing fast farming and really taking shortcuts. And now we're in this degenerative state where the food that we get is lacking in nutrients. Have you ever eaten something and like 30 minutes later, gone back to the kitchen because you're hungry again or searching for something? Have you ever had a meal and felt like you weren't satiated? And it's because your food is lacking in nutrients. So what differentiates Purium from other supplement companies? And this was a big deal for me because I took supplements for 5 years. I took really high quality, expensive ones with big fancy names on the back that I couldn't pronounce. And so I was getting, I've been iron deficient, in pregnancies, and I was taking a probiotic and I was taking a vitamin D supplement. I mean, like you name it, I was taking it, and it was like top of the line, and I had it shipped from special places, and it was all isolated. And I want to bring light to that too, because that was something whenever we started working out. Do you remember like how many stuff we were taking? A lot of supplements, like both of us were taking supplements because that's what was told to us. If you want to feel better, take this to fill in the gap. If you want to build more muscle, take this, it'll fill in the gap. But most of the supplements that we take are isolated. And that means that they are made in a lab. Our bodies actually cannot absorb them. And they release free radicals in our body. Free radical means like it's depleting your body of other things. And it actually overworks your liver and your glands and your organs. And I have actually been regenerating my liver for, well, actually this whole time, because of the 5 years that I took isolated supplements. The way that I found that out is I was on a call kind of like this, and I had my chest stuck out because I thought I knew so much, because, I had been studying gut health and I was already healthy. I was already eating organically. And the regenerative health practitioner that trained me, actually, she looked through the Zoom and she said, "Could you lean a little bit closer?" And so I did. And she said, "Have the whites of your eyes always been yellow?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm Black." That's that's how they've always looked. My dad has yellow whites of his eyes, and my mom and my siblings. And she said, "Well, actually, the white part of your eye is called your sclera, and it tells you about the health of your liver." And she said, "Your liver is in trouble." And that was the first time anybody had ever talked to me about the difference between whole food sourced supplementation and isolated supplementation. I didn't know there was a difference. And how many of us, how many of our kids do we give a D supplement or a C supplement when we go into cold and flu season, because we want to get them ahead of the game and we want to build up their immune system? But the source of that matters. And a lot of times it can be creating more distress in their bodies because their bodies can't recognize it. Our bodies can't recognize it. Or iron, for example. If you're depleted in iron, you actually have a liver and adrenal issue. So what we do in our community for families is we look at what is the root cause. What is the reason that Deetra has yellow scleras? What is the reason that Bryan feels tired at the end of the day? Or what's the reason that he had skin issues? What's the root cause? And rather than putting band-aids on those things, working with organic, regeneratively grown, vine-ripened superfoods and herbal protocols to address the root cause. And so really what we want to do is to educate you on regenerative farming, because that is important. So our farms with Purium they've been around for 28 years, and our main farm is in Utah. And Utah is where the original farm was. One of the owners of our company, Dave Sandoval, is the reason that we have the USDA organic seal that we see in the store. The reason that happened is because we were doing fast farming, and he has all this farmland, and the government says, we want you to spray this on your crops. This is the standard for farmers, is that you would spray Roundup, essentially. He said, "No, I don't want to do that. I believe that consumers should be able to identify what is organically grown and what is conventionally grown." So he went to the Supreme Court, he fought, and he won. And from that court case is why we have the USDA organic seal that you see on your foods. Or if you buy fruit, when you buy produce, when you see the sticker on your produce, the first number is 9. That's how you know it's organic. All of those things came from the owner of our company. And so with our farms, we are using regeneratively grown soil, and we are using proper crop rotation. It is all vine ripened, all organic, vegan, kosher, non-GMO, third-party tested for purity and potency. And that's a huge difference than the isolated things that we take, because what I commonly see is that people want what is convenient. It is convenient to go to Target and pull something off the shelf. It's convenient to go to Walgreens and grab a bottle of this. It's convenient to go to Walmart and get what is in your arm's reach. But 98% of those things are isolated, and they are creating distress in the body. And what creates distress in the body creates illness in the body. And what creates illness and disease in the body creates stress in the family. And what creates stress in the family changes the health for our children. Our children, by the way, are the first generation that are predicted to not outlive their parents because of the degeneration of our soil and because our food is trash. And so that is why this topic matters so much. It matters that your spouse or your partner that's on this call with you, that you guys would be in agreement on what you allow in your home. You are the gatekeepers. And the goal, I think, probably when you all got together, when you got married, is that you're going to live a long, fruitful life as best as you can. And what dictates that sometimes, well, I mean, the Lord knows how long we're all going to live, but our part is being good stewards of how we take care of our body, not being negligent, and really studying to learn about how we can do better. So do you have anything? Yes, I would love for you to add something.
I was just waiting for the right time to start.
This is the perfect time.
No, I feel like that was a lot of good information you shared. I just wanted to take a step back and encourage people to stay curious. All this information, I mean, you might have heard what glyphosate, I don't even know what that is, I'm done. But ask questions, and it's almost like a grieving process for me, like to do something for 30 plus years, 38 years I did this, and now you're telling me it's wrong. Like you telling me something that I learned when I was 6 or how to be healthy is wrong. That's a hard pill to swallow. So I just encourage you to be teachable, be willing to learn and do research on your own, try out some of these things and see how your body feels, because that's the evidence right there, is how you feel when you try these things. All these different names, these supplements, and take this to, if you want to look like that, and forever it was like protein. If you want to be big and strong, you need to be more protein. I mean, I won't get into all the details of protein on this call, but just stay curious and be teachable. That's all I have.
That's great. That's a great addition. Thank you, babe. So our superfoods, I talked a little bit about them. Basically, they're 1% of our soil is deemed nutrient dense and organic, and that is what we grow our superfoods in. And there's no trace metals, no GMOs, no pesticides, no insecticides, biocides, binders, fillers, colors, nothing processed. So let's talk a little bit about the 4 main products that we use in our home. There's one other on this that I'll get to later that the kids use, that it makes our day a little bit easier because I know that they're getting what they need. But what we added in, and this is a great place. I think anybody can start here, no matter what your goal is. And I think that every single person on this call should consider what we're talking about, not because the person that invited you to this call is trying to sell you, but the person that invited you to this call cares about you. The person that invited you to this call sits on health calls day in and day out. And I could go through the screen here of the people that are here and tell you about the health stories and the transformations. There's somebody on this call that has regenerated her body from cancer, somebody that has really recovered well after having a baby, tons of people that have lost weight and repaired adrenals, and that their elimination pathways are opening now. And what do I mean by elimination pathways? They're pooping and they're peeing properly. And that's a really big deal, because the majority of people, I look at urine every single day. People send me their urine samples. I probably get like 7 or 8 a day. And the majority of people are not filtering. That means that when you pee 2 or 3 or 4 times a day, and it's yellow, you're like, okay, it's yellow. I'm good. That's what the doctor told me. I'm looking at the color. But in that urine, the waste is not leaving your body. And the majority of Americans are not filtering. And what that means is what you don't eliminate, you accumulate. So the inside of our bodies should feel like, they should look like a lake, like we should want to swim around in there. But most of our bodies look like swamps, and it is just waste. I'm 41 years old, and I just started filtering a year and a half ago. I was like, I pee every day and I poop a couple times. I'm good. And peeing and pooping is an important topic. And I hope you're not uncomfortable, because peeing and pooping is really what tells you about the health of your body internally.
It's called a bowel movement.
Bowel movement? Okay. My guest says I should call it a bowel movement. So the health of your urine and your bowel movement are important. You should have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. I know people that go twice a week. That's not enough, because if you think about eating 3 meals a day and then eliminating those 3 meals a day twice a week, what happens with the food that you've taken in? Where is it going? It's internal. So that means that you can hold up to 15 to 20 pounds of waste in your intestine. Bad breath, stinky feet, odor, and I call them the hot spots. When I'm having my kids go take a shower, clean your hot spots. The hot spots are hot because the inside of your body has acid that is coming out, and it's coming out through the skin because it's not eliminating through your urine and through your bowels. And that's important. Those functions are there to drain the swamp. You know, it's like the garbage disposal in your kitchen. You put food in, food down, right? Like you wouldn't leave it sitting there for days at a time. It would start to stink. It would get clogged up, and our bodies are designed to do the same thing. So when I'm talking about our superfoods, and I'm talking about the process of detoxification, I'm not necessarily talking about something that you take. I'm talking about the process that all of our bodies should be going through to eliminate waste every day, to keep down our pathogen load, and to help our bodies to be clean on the inside, if that makes sense. So the first superfood I want to talk to you about is called the super amino 23. And this is what Bryan was referencing, has helped him to feel satiated and not miss dietary protein. So the super amino 23 was originally designed for people that were on bed rest to keep their muscles healthy, to keep their muscles from just going limp. And it's in the physician's desk reference. Actually, you can find our super amino 23, but aminos are the building block of protein. And I like to educate on this because it was the biggest eye opener for me, because I had such hormonal issues. I mean, such low libido, really long cycles. It was a whole event. Bryan could probably nod his head yes, but he won't, out of respect for being on this call. But like half of my month was not feeling good in my body. If I wasn't going on my cycle, I was gearing up for the next one. And it's because of how much protein I was putting in my body that my body could not eliminate quickly enough. And it was creating so much distress internally. So our aminos are what your body needs to build and repair joint, muscle, and connective tissue. Our bodies don't actually need protein. They need aminos, which is a simple structure. And the simple structure of aminos put together is what makes protein. So we say in our community and in regenerative health that we eat meat to be strong like the ox, but we forget that the ox eats the grass. And so we eat a lot of dietary protein to get the protein in. We're trying to get the amino out, but we are getting it secondhand. So what we actually get is a lot of waste that our body has to break down. So these aminos are firsthand aminos. They absorb in your body in 23 minutes into your cells. Have you ever heard that the issue is in your tissue? So what you feed your cells is what feeds your tissue. And your tissues, if they're not regenerating and they're not healthy, that means they're degenerating. So they get fluffy. You lose tone, you lose strength. Will start to complain about their skin getting saggy, inflammation and arthritis, those kinds of things. That's because your body isn't getting the proper form of amino. And we need so we have to have 20, our body only makes so many, and then we have to supplement the rest. So this is the 8 essential aminos that you need post puberty to repair. And it gives your organs a break. Every time you eat something that your body can't break down quickly, your organs have to work really hard to get that out. That's where people get that Buddha belly, the distended belly that they're like, why is this here? I just had a this and a that. Why does my belly feel like this? Or when you hear about people that have fatty liver, or a lot of the conditions that we hear about are because we have too much protein in the body. So our body can only absorb, if all of us on this call had max absorption, and we could all absorb 100%, which none of us can, we would only be able to absorb between 11 to 36% of what we take in. And the rest of it is waste that gets dumped into our lymphatic system, and then it has to get cleared out by the kidneys for proper functioning. The second superfood is our power shake. That's 97% of all of your fruits and veggies in one shake, and it's equivalent to 5 superfood salads. It's super hydrating, super alkalizing, super nourishing. Biomedic is the star of this show because it is the only glyphosate removal solution. And we've spent a lot of this call talking about soil health and glyphosate and Roundup. And Biomedic is third-party tested. And it is the only solution that can pull that out, because you can't wash glyphosate off of your fruit. You can't cook it out of your food. So it has to be detoxed out of the body. And so Biomedic is the only thing that does that. And it also reduces C-reactive protein in the body. So C-reactive protein is like your inflammatory response to too much protein. It's the red cheek, rosacea, those kinds of things. And then the last thing is called apothecary. And that helps your body with natural melatonin production in deep sleep. So REM sleep is where your body starts to repair. That's where your hormones get a break. That is where things start to turn over. That's where your body starts to eliminate waste. And that is what helps with your kidneys filtering, which is really important. So our apothecary is equivalent to 30 organic superfoods cherries, 30 cherries. And then the last piece is, it's called Super Cleansar. And I saved this till the end so you all wouldn't leave on me, but this is our microbial parasite cleanse. Every single person on this call with the pulse has parasites. We all have them. My mom called them worms when I was a little girl. But if you've camped outside, if you've walked in grass, if you've hugged another person, if you've eaten meat, we get parasites. And parasites are what are responsible.
Parasites in our body.
Yeah, parasites in our stop. Parasites in our body, he said. So parasites are what are responsible for like salt cravings and sugar cravings. And they create like those starchy, like I just have a taste for this, but parasites also are responsible for things like cancer and autoimmune, because they let in what we like to call the parasitic kingdom, lots of pathogens in the body because we have an unclean environment. And so 10 days of what we all do here is we get rid of parasites in the body so that our body belongs to us again, and we get rid of those. So that is our protocol here. I wanted to allow a friend on this call who I have seen so much transformation in her. I wanted to let my friend Nicole share just briefly about her progress since starting her superfood journey and just what the superfoods have done for her and her husband. Nicole, and Philip have really been living this superfood life together. Phil is a CrossFit athlete, and Nicole is now a CrossFit athlete as well. And so, Nicole, I would love for you to come off and just share how this has helped you and Philip as a couple in your health.
Awesome. Thanks, Deidre. This call has been really amazing and super exciting just to hear from the Clarks and what's happening in your household and how you're making this transformation and making it simple. And so for me, I started out just wanting to get my health on track. Many of you know, or some of you don't know, I'm an apprentice midwife. And so working on becoming the first licensed Black midwife in the state of Arkansas, which is a huge journey and process. And to do that, I always say women, when they're birthing at home, birth in the smallest corner of their home. So my journey started with the objective to lose weight so that I could fit into these small corners and catch these babies. You have this big elaborate home. They're going to birth in the smallest corner behind the toilet, and you have to be able to get in there. And so that was my objective, my intention, and through the process. But I wanted to also do that in a way that was consistent with what I'm telling my clients, like the message of what I'm doing. Needed to match. I didn't want to just be like, you do this, you do that, and then I do something different. So I wanted it to be something that we were doing together, and like the journey and the process and transforming together, really from the inside out. And like, I was struggling with blood pressure issues. Like my blood pressure was kind of borderline. Well, it was high. It was high all the time. And the work that I do, really kind of puts a lot of stress on your adrenal glands. Like I could get a call at 3:00 in the morning and then have to jet and be gone for, who knows when I would return. And then, so sleep was broken. There were all these things that were, an issue. And so the superfood protocol has really changed my life. And I've been able to shed 50 pounds of excess waste and still on that journey. My blood pressure is amazing, like all the time. I actually want to, like all the time, like I'm good, y'all. And I love it. And I'm able to show up in a way that I hadn't before, and find this person that, I don't know, like I like her.
You found the person?
I mean, I found me. Don't you like her? I found me.
You love you.
I do.
You do.
Phil, go tell your story.
Oh, what's up, y'all? So, let me tell, especially the guys, let me tell y'all something. So, with the whole superfoods thing. So, I heard Nicole talk about this. I'd wake up to women talking about superfoods, like just about superfoods. To me about 7:30 in the morning, Central Standard Time, Deidre, Tiara, some of these other ladies, whatever, right? And I'm like, what are they talking about? So whatever. But I came from bodybuilding world. So anything with supplements, stacks, any of that kind of thing, I was all for it. But here's like the thing, there's like a lot of sugar. You mentioned the glyphosate and all that kind of good stuff. And taking all of that in and having your kidneys process all of that is like a lot. So that's why one of the reasons bodybuilders got to drink like a lot of water, but that's a lot. So the other thing was this, she would say, we got to take superfoods. And I'm like, where's the food? Right? Like, where's the food? So I'm thinking like food, chicken, I got to tear it with my teeth, food, right? Salmon, fish, 99% lean meat, food. Fellas, I'm talking to y'all, right? Because you're hearing food and you're like, I'm looking on my plate for something I can put a fork and a knife in. So fellas, it's a cup.
I'm sorry, it's so loud.
Okay? So you keep hearing food, right? But I'm just trying to tell you, you're gonna drink more than you chew, right? So I had to get my mind around that because I'm like, well, where's the food? And she's like, it's right here. I'm like, no, that's a shake. No, I got drinking a shake after a workout or pre-workout, got it. But where's the chicken? Where's the salmon? Where's the asparagus? like so I can chew, so I can feel full. All right. I'm setting y'all up for something, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll play along. You know, husband's got to support wife and what she does so that she can be successful. Happy wife, happy life, fellas. I'm just saying, you know, the mood of your wife dictates the house. So why not? So I was like, all right, I'll try it out. I'll switch over. So yeah, I do CrossFit and constantly vary high functioning, high intensity functional movements, right? So typically a workout will basically beat you down within 30 minutes or so. But I found after starting to take the super aminos, the power shake in the morning, and then the MVP sport as a post workout, I'm able to do 2-3 WODs workouts in a day, good recovery, be able to sleep well with the apothecary. I swear by the apothecary. Like if you want some good sleep and not like want to wake up and like I'm 49, so I'd rather not wake up in the night and you know go pee and all that kind of stuff. But I swear by the apothecary. So fellas, like if you're hitting the net over 45, you know 50, you know I swear by the apothecary you should get it. But here's the other thing. So I weigh 178 now, but my lean muscle has increased. And that's not taking any of the traditional protein powders that you would commonly find in GNC or any of the nutrition stores, but by using the super aminos. So I take 5, 10, 15, 20 a day. And I get upset, like, where's all the super aminos at? Because you know what's going on. So those goes in the shake, 1 in the morning, 1 lunchtime, and then 1 post workout. I'll do. But people at the box have commented like, you've gotten leaner, but you've got more muscle. And so, no traditional meats, chickens, salmons, and all, you know, where you get those other protein sources. So if you're looking to get leaner, add muscle, get some good sleep, have some energy working out, you know, all those
and more,
right? Then I would encourage y'all to buy these things up here on the screen. And if you're working out, I'll also encourage you to get the MVP Sport chocolate or vanilla. I'm chocolate. It goes a long way. Oh yeah, can't beat this in cocoa hydrate. Yes, but I know that's not on here. But like they can't beat this in cocoa. Like I'm a gym rat. Other than my nonprofit I do, I'm like a gym rat. And so that can't beat this is like the most excellent pre-workout. Now with that pre-workout, or function as a pre-workout for me, like you need to take it at a particular time, because if you take it later, you're just going to be up and you're going to be tweaking and wired.
It's not tweaking. You can't say tweaking.
That's what it feels
You're
like.
energized.
You're energized, tweaking, whatever.
Can't say
hey,
tweaking.
I'm still up.
Okay,
right?
babe.
But you'll get stuff done. That's the point.
That's right.
Right. So
without tweaking.
Yeah, sure. Those are my thoughts.
That's our story.
And we're sticking to it.
The Fletchers.
Right?
Thank you, Fletchers. Thank you, Fletchers. And I agree with all of that. I love all of that. So thank you so much. And I think it's great to hear from the men, right? Because these are not just women's superfoods. They are foods. And we're seeing tons of men in our community doing amazing. We also have kids superfoods. I won't go into those for time because I want to open up for some Q&A if you have questions. But in our community, we have unlimited support. So we offer 2 support calls a week by practitioners that are led by practitioners. I lead some. We have other practitioners that lead them. We have an app, we have recipes, we have a meal calendar, we have truly like unlimited support. And so the person that invited you to this call would be supporting you as well. But one of the things that I want to invite you all to think about, I would challenge all the couples on this call to either option one would be each of you do your own ultimate lifestyle transformation. So a 30-day protocol to drain the swamp. or to order an ultimate lifestyle transformation and to split it. So within the ultimate lifestyle transformation, that's all the superfoods that I went over. It's 60 superfood meals over a 30-day period. And our superfoods break down to about $11 a day. And so if you're like, well, I'm interested in all of this, this sounds good, where do I start? I would say start with the transformation, and then you decide if you each need your own based on your goals, or if you want to split, but just start somewhere. You do not have to be a vegan or a vegetarian to do this. You do not have to give up meat or dairy to do this. Those are personal choices, just depending on how deep you want to go in your health goals. We did not start there. As we started to feel better and come home to our bodies and see how nourished and satiated we were, those were things that we were able to release for our deeper health goals. But you do not have to do that to start here in this community, but just start somewhere. So with that, I want to thank you all for coming. I hope we'll do this again, but I want to open up for Q&A. So if there's anybody on the call that you have any questions about your health or something that you're struggling with in your body, I would love to answer that for you. So you can use the raise hand feature, or you can just put your comment in the chat and I can answer it there. So I'm going to stop my share now so I can see all of you if you raise your hand. And yeah, let me know what questions you have. Bryan has something to say.
I said if there were no questions. I just wanted to key in on the couples piece for all the couples that are on the call. It is extremely important for both of you to be on the same page with any changes that you're going to make concerning your diet. I know I have some friends that I've talked to about changes that I made, and they are interested, but maybe their wife is not as interested, or vice versa. And I have to give a lot of credit to Deetra. My health journey is probably 90% of the success. The credit can go to her because things just started disappearing. Like, oh, we ain't buying that no more, huh? I thought we used to get that from the grocery store. I open up the cabinet, open up the refrigerator. It's like, oh, so we don't get that anymore. But it's all been good. That they were good changes. It was a struggle at times, I'll be honest, and not to get too deep into the parasite thing, but that's where a lot of the cravings come from. And as you kill off those parasites, those cravings leave. So it's a process. It takes time. Just be patient and continue to learn.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. So there's a question here in the comment. My 1-year-old daughter has stage 4 cancer and is currently undergoing treatment. Are these safe for her? I'm so sorry to hear that. Nicolette, are you still on the? Yes, I see you. So absolutely, these are safe. And we actually have tons of moms. Nicole, who just shared, is a birth worker. She's a doula and apprentice midwife. And all of her moms use the superfoods in pregnancy and postpartum to support their milk production and just the postpartum journey. And we have a ton of kiddos on these as well. My kiddos are younger, but they can absolutely take them. And what I would recommend, the protocol I would recommend for your daughter to start with is a superfood shake. And then I would recommend this is a non-purium product, but it is called BioRay. And it's an herbal tincture that supports the body to get rid of pathogens and parasite overload. And so it's a dropper. You could just drop it in her milk, or you could drop it in her shake, but that would support to release the body from the parasites, because cancer is a high parasite load. And then I would start her on our shake, and she could do one of those a day. And whoever invited you to this call, I'd be happy to do a consult with you if you want to talk a little bit more and work through a protocol to support your family. Oh, I do. Lori, do you have a question? Oh, I think you're muted, honey.
We were fighting over the mouse. Sorry. I have someone who was on here earlier, and she is wants to focus on getting her cycles really healthy and is regular, but wanting to eliminate the spotting before and after she gets her period. She is also wanting to make sure that ovulation is strong and healthy. And then she was also wanting to know what you have for testosterone health for spouse as well, like how to improve that.
This is my favorite topic. My favorite topic. This is my story. So what I would recommend for her is an ultimate lifestyle transformation. And I would add in the B energetic to support adrenals and kidney filtration, and also the white American ginseng to support healthy hormone function. And then testosterone, I would have a partner taking the superfoods as well. So he could do an ultimate lifestyle transformation, or at least the core 4. And I would add in for him the super life formula, which is great for, yeah, Nicole's like, yes, it's great for just testosterone functioning. It's great for male health in general, because men tend to get a little tired as they go on. And so what we have started to see in probably the last 15 years is men getting testosterone shots because they feel like they're no longer producing enough. But actually what is happening is their adrenals are not functioning properly and their kidneys aren't filtering. So the Super Life formula helps to support those levels naturally without doing something extreme like a testosterone shot. So that's what I'd recommend for them.
Thank you. And then I have another friend who was watching earlier. She needed to hop off,
Okay.
but she's dealing with cramping and leaky gut.
Cramping and leaky gut. So leaky gut, definitely she needs the ULT, and I would do 60 days of that because it takes about 60 days to turn over for the gut to repopulate. And then I would add in the B energetic to support her as well. And Lori, I would also do ionic elements for her. Cramping is nutrient deficiency. And so I would have her add in the ionic elements as well.
And then she's also been dealing with, like, when she eats, she feels bloated or she feels nauseous after eating. Would that be because of leaky gut too?
It would be, so that's distended belly. It would be leaky gut and diet. So I would talk to her about what she's eating. So trying to get the acids out. So the dairy, getting rid of the meat, getting rid of the starches and the processed grains, those kinds of things, and focusing more on the alkaline side of foods. There's 2 sides to chemistry. There's alkaline and then there's acids. So focusing more on fruits and veggies and things that are really hydrating and clean out the cells and the waste in the body, and leaving the other things alone for now while her gut is healing.
Thank you so much, Deidre. Thanks, Brian.
You're
We've
welcome,
enjoyed
sweets.
it.
Tiara,
Cordell has a question.
of course, Cordell does. Hi, Cordell.
What's going on? What's going on? So here to the fellas, how did you guys kind of break the inconvenience part of doing the shakes? Because for me, I'm always on the go. I say that because I'm always on the go. Of course, we have 4 children, and it seems like it's always something going on. And then you got to stop, make this shake, or you got to stop, take these people. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, what helps with that? And if that makes sense, like, not even to the fellas, if the ladies have a solution to that too, because, yeah.
So I can answer that. Do you want to answer it?
I mean, he said to the fellas.
Oh, But he said not just to the fellas. He said the
No,
ladies could answer
so
too.
I would love for you to chime in. That is still a struggle for me. I'll be honest. My wife is very helpful in that she will prepare shakes for me throughout the day. So if you could get your wife to maybe help, that would be really good. And just planning ahead. I get it. I mean, being on the go, it can be very inconvenient, but you just really have to look at like, inconvenience or, me being in a hospital over something because I'm not taking care of myself, like making your health a priority. Look at it that way. That would be my advice, because I'm right there with you at times. I'm like, oh, I need to do this and I got to stop what I'm doing and make time. But thinking ahead and doing the best that you can and preparing what you're going to eat and when you're going to make that shake and take those aminos throughout the day. And I'll let teacher add.
Yeah. So what I have found is typically I just make everybody's in the morning, because before we added in superfoods, I was making everybody's breakfast anyway. I was making our more acid filled breakfast. And so I've just replaced doing that with the superfood. So I just shake it up. I just do everybody's at one time. I send in a container. So I would just recommend for guys that are on the go or people that are on the go, getting the stackable containers and just putting in your aminos, putting in your biomedic and just taking it with you. I just send Bryan with his, and then he has it to take throughout the day. And you get the more consistent you are, the more it just becomes a part of your routine, and then it won't feel so inconvenient because you'll just have it down to a rhythm. So I would say give yourself some grace and time just to work it into your routine, and then it'll feel easy.
Yes, ma'am. Right there. I really like the comment of having your wife make sure she's coming.
Sorry, T. Nicole, did you guys have your hands raised?
We were going to help answer, but Phil was like, Bryan, answer, put your hand down. So put my hand down.
There's also a lot of good.
Okay, let's see what's going on. And so I agree with Phil. Erica says I make mine in advance, dump everything in the shake. So you can, because we have capsules, you can, and I do this for Bryan, the capsules, like the Super Life formula, he takes that, he takes the biomedic. I just don't open those capsules because they're just herbs, and I put them in the shake and blend them and send. And then, so that helps. Erica says that's what she does, pre-measure. She takes things pre-measured and then puts it in a bottle of water. Audra says I put water in the shaker cup and prep the shake and such to go in a to-go container, easy to take with wherever you go. We say that this is the most convenient, healthiest to-go food, fast food that you can find, because you really can take it with you and it's worth it.
Deetra,
Yes.
so what makes it a little inconvenient for Cordell is that he prefers to have his blended in a smoothie. And so, he's a little bougie. Well, when you want, I mean, not obviously, I mean,
Is
I
that
guess
bougie or
I mean, it's his preference. Like, don't get me wrong, it's his preference, but also like that, requires a little
that's not true,
more
Nicole, at all.
more effort. It would mean that he would have to have frozen fruit at work for him to be able to get and put in his portable blender and then do it that way. So that's kind of the struggle. It's not, I make it for him in the mornings, but once he's at work, I'm not there to do that.
I'm just gonna be honest. Right now, it's super hard for me to just be like, oh, water and grass. That's what I feel like, and it's just kind of hard to get past that right now.
So what I will say is the more consistent you are, your body will actually start to crave it. I don't know that Bryan was like, oh, yay, give me this in the beginning. I think he was like, okay, if you think it's good for me, I'll take it. But what happens is the more that you add in and feed your cells recognize when they're being nourished, and your body will start to ask you for it. It won't think of it as grass. It will think of it as, where's my shake? Where is this deep nourishment that's satiating me? And so just give it I say for most people, if they will give it a full consistent week and then just keep going, your body will start to ask for it. I'm just going through the names on this call, and all except for two that I'm looking at that I've personally worked with were like, when some were like, I love it immediately. And some were like, okay, I still feel like I want something else. I feel like I want to add something, but it's because we're used to our food being chewed. We're used to this, like, oh, I ate till my belly was full. And that's because we're a macro focused society, but this is micro and phytonutrition. And so your body is learning to get the deep form of nourishment. And that's different than my belly so full, now I want to take a nap. And so it just takes your body a little bit to adjust.
I had, I mentioned this earlier, that it was a struggle at times. And I can remember being there because I had to change my definition of what full was. And I'll be honest, I was barking at her a lot when we made the switch. I was like, I'm hungry. I'm still hungry. Like this is not getting it done.
Parasites.
But it just took some time for my body to realize what being full was like. It's not about being full, it's getting the nutrients that you need. So I would say hang in there. It will pass, but yes, like when I started, did you remember? I was not happy. I was all the time because she took away so much food. Like, this isn't healthy anymore. This is acidic. We can't eat this. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like,
Get rid of the parasites. I want you to
Like,
get rid of the
I need
parasites.
food. So that for sure took some time to get used to.
Yeah. Cordell Phil said to purchase a NutriBullet and take it to work. Put your frozen fruits in your work freezer. That's a great suggestion. It's a great suggestion. Yes. And get rid of the parasites. Nicolette.
Hi, everyone. I'm
Hi.
sorry I had my mic muted, but I just have one more question. So
Yeah.
I noticed that when I do eat healthy, like I do tend to like be hungrier after I eat. But someone told me before that that's because you're eating what you're supposed to, and your body's like, hey, I want more of this, give me more. So is that like, so you're not supposed to feel hungrier, or like, I don't know if you understand.
I do. So, well, I think I understand you saying is when you make healthy food choices, like you're maybe eating fruits and veggies or things that are more nutrient dense, that your body feels hungrier after, like you don't feel full. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And somebody told me that that's because my body's basically saying, hey, this is some good stuff. Like, give me more of this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and it depends on what you're eating. It depends on if the food is lacking in nutrients. But what I will say is, so fruits pass through the body in about 20 to 30 minutes. So they're in and then they're out. And so that can leave people feeling like they're not full, because we are used to a full feeling, but we're not supposed to eat until we're full. We're supposed to eat until we're satisfied. And so I think it is really redefining what your body is doing. But also, if you're eating things like that are alkaline foods, like fruit and veggies, those are going to pass through quicker. Things like meat and the starches, those stay around longer, and people get used to that feeling of their belly feeling full, and they, full for 3 and 4 and 5 hours. And that's actually not great, because that means that your food is not digesting. So I think it's a good sign that your body is like craving more and you're not feeling stuffed. That's not the goal. You should feel satisfied. As long as you're feeling satisfied, that's a good sign. Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, okay, guys. I said on our flyer till 8:30, but I think this is a good topic, and I love that you guys have questions. So we will close this out if there are no more questions. And so what I would encourage you to do is to get back with the person that invited you to this call. They have a code to share with you. to help you get started, and they can help you with curating a protocol. And then if you have friends or couples who wanted to be here tonight that couldn't, this replay will be available and you can send that out. And so we hope to do this again. Thank you, Erica. Thanks for being here, guys. And I hope that this information was helpful and valuable as you make decisions for your family. Okay, good night.